Hello everyone, it's Justin aka Giga Chadwick here with another video. Post UK Open experience. So this one will be a lot more focused on my own experience as a judge in the event, judging at a much bigger event than what I'm normally used to. So in terms of like my normal experiences as a judge, I've done a couple of locals, whether that be at Jester's Game Store and the odd one at Guthrie Blackburn. Not that I'm like full on a judge at Guthrie, but I have helped out for them in certain events, like the biggest one being the Blackburn Regional that happened quite a few months ago now. But speaking of Guthrie, they did host the UK Open, which is really cool, great as a regular of the store to see them get the recognition that they deserve for the amount of great tournaments that they've held over the couple of years that they have been in business. And credit to all the staff and the owners, Chris and Linda, for basically making all these years possible. I remember I'm basically the longest serving Yu-Gi-Oh player in the community there. So I've seen firsthand their locals go from like at best 5 on a week. I seem to think being on a Thursday, but I could entirely be wrong on that. To consistently being at least 10 to 12 every single week, which is really, really good. Not saying it's like 20 plus every single week, but we can get there, and the numbers have grown over the years. It's a really, really good community now. Some really, really good players. I mean, we had someone we know, not necessarily from Geek Blackburn themselves, but from a neighbouring store who knows people from Geek Blackburn and, again, other neighbouring stores in the area who actually ended up winning the tournament in Corey. So, massive congratulations to him on his victory. And some of the other players that I know who do come to Geek Blackburn quite a bit, they have also got an invite from the tournament, as they did get in the top 56, I think it was, to get your invite. So really big congratulations to them. As for me, I'll go over a couple of different sort of categories in regards to the judging over the course of the tournament. So there was 9 rounds, 45 minutes each of Swiss. There was no top cut for the event, so no extra time on that front. But it's just obviously weird again, waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday to end up getting there like really early at the Etihad for such a big event. Mainly because it was on a Sunday, I suppose. But when it comes to the rulings, which will be the first category, quite a few simple enough ones over the course of the day. You had some stuff like skill drain live on the field for like player A. Player B's got to rise your detonator with at least 1 material. Can the detonator use its material to prevent its destruction under the skill drain? Obviously, that was something I already know from like a precedent of Imperm or already resolving on a Hugin. Can Hugin protect something like a fountain from something like a feather duster? No, it can't. So easy enough. We move on. Very simple enough. I had quite a few simple enough runners over the course of the day that I knew confidently I could answer successfully. And then there was also the odd, like, 1 or 2 where I was kind of thinking on it and then gave my answer, and the players were thinking about it as well, and they were like, yeah, we're fine with that. And no head judge appeal ended up occurring. So I take those as quite a positive success. Obviously, there were head judge appeals on me over the course of the day. I think there were 4 in total, 2 overturned, which I will go over later on in the video. But it's just a case of you're never going to get absolutely every single ruling correct. Nothing to fuss about, even if you're like wildly off it. So, no, like not really need for me to be fussed over it. So, what other things came up over the course of the tournament? There was stuff like PE minors. Like I could actually give out PE minors at this one. So obviously trying to like not go absolutely wild on giving them out when it's not necessary. I think I gave out 3 over the course of the day. 2 were completely fine to give out. One of them, not 100% fine to give out. However, when you consider the scenario that I was put under, not having that team lead already in the area to kind of assist me on the matter, it was kind of fine at first. But obviously, I will explain as to why in a moment as to why it weren't 100% the case. So I'll get the other 2 out of the way. So the first one was literally in round 1, a friend of mine went True Light to set a spell track from the deck. However, after going through the deck, realised he had no target to set. Easy enough PE miner to give. Even the team lead that had James was like, yeah, it's the easiest PE miner you can give. So really simple enough one there. Second one was a Rise Your Mirror. A detonator was supposed to have come back in defense with its effects negated. However, it was summoned in attack position. Now, with this being about 5 minutes to go in the round, both players in game 3 at 8k life points, the detonator swung over a Baldric in attack, so obviously 500 damage has been dealt. So obviously a time situation is probably going to come up where if that 500 really, really does count, it's going to be really, really annoying on that player who's taken that 500, especially if it's a sort of irreparable game state scenario. So I get called over. I go over the situation after a few minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to need a team leader to advise on this. After about 7 minutes, I think it was, we got the situation done and dusted. We repaired the game state, B- were given. And yeah, completely fine after that. Obviously stayed there for the time extension and things were all sorted and done and dusted. The third one, again, involved another friend of mine. And it was a case of asking me, without the player knowing, like, his opponent, what the card was. Like, could I activate this under Drop and Lockbird? The card in question was Pot of Desires. Now, obviously, since this is not an event I'm used to, I'm not always like 100% on the policies and whatnot. So I remembered something I was told when I first started judging, which was can't really answer a question unless the card is properly in play. So obviously the card's been played. Then we get the looks, and I'm like, okay, I see the issue. So no, you can't activate this under Draw and Lockbird. And then obviously the card's returned. I've ended up giving a PE minor just because it's revealing a card in private knowledge. And don't get me wrong, both the players were completely fine with the scenario and no sort of head judge scenario ended up coming. But obviously, with these PE minors I was giving out, I was like referring to the team leader when I had the chance, basically saying like this was the scenario, was that appropriate to give out? And on that one, he said that it was obviously a tricky scenario. However, in that situation, it was probably best to answer the question, specifically because it leads to an infraction. So basically, it's on me as a judge because I'm sort of leading him into that scenario, if that makes sense. So obviously, I know this person. I've spoken to him once or twice on Discord, and I spoke to him yesterday on the matter. He was completely fine with it. He said, "Don't worry about it. I'm not fussed whatsoever. Totally understand the scenario you were in." So it's all good on that front. Nothing to worry about. But yeah, like something like that comes up. Anyone who's going to be down to watch this, who wants to be in that judging scenario where they're like being in big events like a UK Nationals or a UK Open specifically that I was in, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. If it's something that leads to an infraction, best to advise to answer the question in general, so that you don't want to be issuing penalties constantly for something that realistically can be avoided. When it comes to head judge appeals, I'll go over the different 4 as best I can in order. I guess it doesn't really matter if they're in order or not. But the first one was Firewall Dragon has been faced upon the field and has just activated its effect, and it's been forbidden dropleted. It has not left the field since and has not re-entered. It's been on the field the complete entire time. Later on in the game, have been called over because the firewall's been attempted to be used again. Now, for those who aren't aware, firewall's text, it is a one spot face up on the field thing. So I have ended up ruling it as you can't use it again because you have at least attempted to have used it whilst it has been on face up on the field, similar to like a Baron. Obviously, the head judge has been called mainly out of like 100% clarification on the matter, and the head judge has upheld my decision on that front. So, whilst it is obviously a tricky one, it is understandable why I'd rule it that way. And the judge, head judge who obviously took the call, we had two, one very familiar to a lot of people in Sam Lang, but it was the other head judge at that event who took it, and the other judge goes ahead over the course of the day. He was like, I'm inclined to agree with you on this front, and obviously explained why, and obviously we returned to the matter and solved it. The second one that I'll go over was one I got wrong, which was Malice Hearts of Crypta. So obviously Malice Hearts of Crypta has the text where its effects and activations can't be negated whilst it points to a monster or something to that degree. So it's been impermed already in the turn. Later on, I think it was Dormouse had been summoned next to its link. Now, obviously, I've ruled this as it's still negated, but I've seen it as a continuous effect. It's actually a condition. So conditions, like as soon as the head judge mentioned a condition, I knew immediately where it was going. So conditions are things you can't negate. Like I'm pretty sure Rusty Bardish's can't be used as link material is a condition as well. Something like that as a precedent. Something you can't negate. So in that scenario, it was overturned, as you can successfully banish with the Hearts of Crypta. The third one that I'll go over, what was the other one? Yes, this was the other one that was upheld as well, was branded players got branded lost already face up on the field. His opponent's got a Azamina Sylvia, which is the Omni negate, and branded players currently going through, and he plays branded fusion. The Azamina player naturally is going to play Sylvia, considering branded fusion is very, very powerful. It's at 1 to negate the branded fusion, and the branded player is obviously called Judge. He's like, no, you can't negate on the lost. But because Sylvia doesn't specifically negate the activation, it still gets negated by the Sylvia. So obviously he calls head judge. Now obviously the head judge is aware that it is a scenario of branded lost's wording, which is why it's confusing, because it's poor TCG wording. Like it should be the activation of cards and the activation of effects of cards can't be negated. Like specifically negating the effect of the card itself is perfectly fine. Like Ash Blossom negating Branded Fusion, Sylvia negating Branded Fusion, that's completely fine. But like Solemn Judgmenting a Branded Fusion, no, that's not fine because it specifically negates the activation. But that was one that was solved relatively quickly. I also gave my references in Ash Blossom to the head judge, which he was like, yeah, it's exactly the same as that. What was the other one that was overturned? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, because I know it was one I should have got. Oh yeah, that was it. So, turn player's gone Ice Riseal effect on summon to special from the deck. Opponent's gone an imperm on it. Then it's gone back to turn player, and he's gone Book of Moon targeting the Ice Riseal, and then Chain Link 4 effect Veiler from the opponent to negate the Ice Riseal. Now I'm a little annoyed I got this wrong, because when you think about it, it is relatively simple to understand. But obviously, chain results backwards. Effect Veiler applies, it sort of negates Chain Link 4, but then Book of Moon flips it face down, therefore removing that lingering negate. So ultimately, it's successfully going to resolve. Is the Ice Riseal. I did say it was going to get negated at Chain Link 4 via Veiler, but again, you're not going to be correct on every single ruling. This is how I'll see it. Obviously in the future, like as part of my feedback in terms of how I've fared over the tournament. Obviously, rulings knowledge completely fine. Like, obviously, I've got a couple wrong, but you're naturally going to do that. But in terms of actual like rolling knowledge, completely fine. But when it comes to having that perfectionist little kick inside to want to get everything right and be like absolutely perfect on everything, it's just a case of you kind of phase that out all the time, because you shouldn't be fearful of getting something wrong, and it's good advice. And obviously, if I do decide in the end I want to do the UK Nats this year at Liverpool, then it's something I'll remember for that, or any other big event that I may decide, right, I'll apply for that, or if Geek Blackburn does another regional and I get called to do that again, as that one is not one I necessarily need to apply to, then potentially that's something I could apply to that as well. As for sort of overall sort of personal feelings behind the tournament, absolutely fantastic. I loved it. Just seeing how many players there were for the event that Geek was hosting, it was crazy. I think we had 90 at the Geek Treat Blackburn Regional, but we had like 441, I think it was, for the Open, which was fantastic. Seeing all the different banner sort of things around the Etihad, which is the football ground that I've gone to a few times prior to the event, and only ever known it for football, but to see all that advertisement stuff was kind of unreal, to be fair, and whatnot. So yeah, really, really cool. Great to meet so many great judges. Obviously, talking to them, giving advice, considering they'll have had more experience than I have. Obviously, seen other people who were judging as well that I also know in person, and obviously talking to them was great as well. A couple from Geek Blackburn themselves, some from Fanboy, some from Jesters, etc. Which is cool. Now, I think I mentioned before about a scenario I was involved in. However, if I didn't, I will go over it now. So, at a big event, as a judge, you'll have like team leads and head judges, etc. And obviously, the kind of rhetoric is when you're giving out penalties, you can give out PE minors, but you can't give out like game losses and whatnot. So when it comes to like game losses, you have to go to the team lead for that. Now, I'm pretty sure this was explained during the judge briefing, and I know like if some of the other judges who know me, who may know that I have this channel in the first place, see this video, they'll probably back me up on it. Like, it probably will have been brought up then, but I completely forgot about it at like round 4 or 5 for a moment until it was explained again by the judge. But I did give out a game loss to someone, and the scenario was, it was player A with X deck against a Kashtira player, and the Kashtira player, obviously in this game too, has banished 3 of the opponent's deck face down with a Rise Heart. Apply its effect to gain 3 levels to make rank 7 players. And over the course of the game, obviously, plays have been made, games been won, lost, etc. And they've moved on to game 3. However, by the time all the cards have been put in and whatnot, those 3 cards that were banished are still banished face down, and they're currently in game 3, and they've obviously noticed during then. So it's a really, really tricky scenario, but then over the course of investigation, I've completely forgot that I can't give out game losses. I've not had the chance to speak to my team lead about it, so I've given out the game loss. And then that's when the head judge has been appealed, and obviously, so that scenario has had to be sort of like reprimanded onto the player. The game loss was upheld, in case you're wondering. Like, I think the players both kind of knew it was going to be a game loss. Like, one of them especially knew. However, at a big event, you've kind of got to follow that chain of command. Like, I couldn't find the team leader for the life of me, as my sort of reasoning behind the matter. But obviously, once me and the team leader did have a chance to speak together about that incident later on in the tournament, he was like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it's obviously just a case of chain of command. Try and find me at the earliest possible convenience and whatnot, and we move on from there. That sort of thing. So it's one of those different scenarios that you've kind of got to figure out. Is this a team lead scenario? Is it not? And then chain of command kind of just naturally follows order to kind of resolve those big scenarios like that. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything else, like, in terms of those who've not seen my box opening yet regarding the judge boxes that I got. So, see, the stuff that I got from the event for doing the judging, I got the judge shirt, which I can obviously wear when I'm judging at other big events. I got 3 judge boxes of Supreme Darkness, which I have opened. There's a video on that. Please check it out. It'd be great. Got some pretty cool pulls. Wouldn't say it's like the most amazing 3 boxes in the world, but hey, they're essentially 3 boxes for doing a nice day's work, helping out people with their ruling questions and gaining that really needed experience, so to speak. So, again, really, really cool day. Such a surreal moment to see Geometry again getting the recognition they deserve. To be fair, and it was pretty smooth. In fairness, I know we had a slight delay. I think round 1 or 2, but after that we were relatively fine, and it was really, really good. Obviously, Man City kept us really, really cool. Although I will advise them on AC, it was not fun a lot of the time being inside the Legends Lounge, because it was just boiling over the course of the day. You could just feel the humidity just getting on you the entire time. But it was quite easy just to step outside and get into the sort of cold to kind of ease that sort of humidity. I did pass my RC2, my rulings comprehension. So not only have I done all 3 of the level 1s, I've got the level 2 rulings comprehension now, which is really, really good. I passed that on the first attempt. Obviously, I can't go over the ruling comprehension level 2 questions. I'm not allowed, so please don't ask. And yeah, I think that's really it, to be honest. If I had to obviously reiterate something to close it out, if you want to become a judge, just make sure you do that rulings level 1 at the very least, and then sign yourself up via the instructions you're given after that. And once you've passed, obviously there's bits of advice I've given out through the video, understanding the chain of command, but also obviously that main advice being get that both sides of the story, figure out the scenario, and give that ruling as quickly as possible, 5 minutes tops, I was told, the sort of maximum you can think and give a ruling out for, because you want to, especially with external sort of businesses being involved, like Yugioh Blackman, for example, and vendors, you want to make sure that the competition is flowing and you get out at a natural time, basically. I think we were done for 7:30, 8:00, something like that, which is not too bad. If it had gone on to 9, 9:30, I would have been screwed, because I had work yesterday morning at 6:00, so that would not have been fun, because I would not have been in work, and yeah, that would not have been nice. Especially since I've been late a few times, but don't tell the boss that. But yeah, thing is, if you want to become a judge, very highly recommend you do. It is really cool to do. And yeah, don't be afraid of being wrong. Justin, aka Yugioh, signing out.